Barrel rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno-monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code and this is the Forex Super Model daily briefing for Monday the 26th of the 4th 2021. Time is just coming up to 0450 GMT. Asian session coming to a close, our European session firing up. Our lunchtime is the North American US session. Right, Friday the 23rd, then the last full trading day. We had a positive opposed driver in the euro, plus 191. Front and back door flows, mainly going into the dollar. Mainly out of the dollar at minus 130, out of the yen at minus 103, and the pound was the positive rock at plus 42. Activity plus or minus 233. So that was what's happening on Friday. Over the week then, for some context, last week was from Monday the 19th to the 23rd. We had a negative opposed driver in the dollar at minus 257. Front and back door flows, mainly going into the euro at plus 201, into the yen at plus 140, and the pound was the negative rock at minus 84. Activity plus or minus 341. So last week then we had the market was being driven by dollar weakness, euro strength, yen strength, and a bit of pound weakness. Intraday then, this is what's been happening so far in the Asian session to about 15 minutes ago. We've got an unopposed negative driver in the dollar at minus 68. No backdoor flows. The opposing positive flows mainly going into the pound at plus 37, into the yen at plus 24, and into the euro at plus 7 is the positive rock. Activity plus or minus 68. Well, what's going to knock it about this week? Well, what have we had then? So Monday we've got US durable goods really today, plus we've got German T2 business climate data. Right, so Tuesday we've got the Bank of Japan rates decision, and Wednesday we've got the AUD CPI, CAD retail sales, and the Fed much later in the day are early evening. So the Fed rates decision from the FOMC and the minutes, etc. So pretty busy. We've got two rates decisions and some significant data. So let's have a look what's been happening in the flows and the asset classes. Our trades come back a bit. We're about minus 700 at the moment on scaled trades. The dollar's pretty soft, and the New Zealand dollar's thinking about it. Right, so let's have a look. The euro then is weak, except against the dollar and the yen, which are weaker. The yen is weak, except against the dollar. The pound is strong, except against the AUD and the NZD. The Swiss is weak, except against the yen, the dollar and the euro, which are weaker. The CAD is strong, except against the pound, the AUD and the NZD. The AUD is strong across the board. The NZD is strong, except against the AUD. And finally the dollar is weak across the board. Right, so what have we got? We've got dollar weakness in the Asian session. We've got AUD strength. You can see that the commodity currencies are popping up. And finally we've got the New Zealand dollar being outgunned by the AUD. And funny enough, the first analyst I've seen make any noise about this, with the rising iron ore prices being underpriced against the AUD. But we've been banging on about this for about 2 months. Anyway, right, so let's look at the asset classes and then do the final analysis. Right, so US dollar index. Basically it broke and it's come back to about 0.3 from the floor, so it's pretty weak. Gold you would think would be screaming, but gold's had this double top and it's now basically just above the previous support for this double top, so it's 0.4 from the floor. So gold hasn't really moved. Oil sold off after sort of around the OPEC meeting time, and it's about 0.37 from the high. So no great shakes on gold. Wall Street broke and it's now having a pause. S&P had a double top, broke likewise, having a pause, and the tech finally broke. Let's have a look, and then it's come back, but it's above the resistance level that it took so long to break. Right, so US 10-year and the bund. Right, the US 10-year is about 0.45 from the floor. Remember, this is the price, so you've had a good price bounce, so yields have come off quite a bit in the US, and the bund is about 0.28, so from the floor. So relatively speaking, in terms of the euro yields are still punching stronger than the US, and the gap has arguably widened. Right, copper. Copper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 had 5 pumps, came back to the second pump, went to base camp, messed about, and now it's operating just above, so it's just got its head above the previous high, so it's strong. US steel, remember, it sold off at the double top, it broke, and it's now below this double top and about 0.3 from the high, but it is working on coming up, US steel. Right, so let's just get rid of that, do the final analysis then. So like we said, we're fairly heavily scaled in now. We've had to do a lot of forward in backing, but let's hope that we can actually make some ground now. So we're short the dollar USD against the euro, the pound and the AUD, and we're short the NZD against the euro, the pound, the CAD and the AUD. Right, so so noises are starting to be made about iron ore, which is a large component of exports to China. So you've got this China story coming in again there, and that the Australia will outperform the NZD, which has been overpumped. So that sort of fits in with what we're doing. The pound hasn't really fired against the NZD, it's come right back, but it will. The pound data cycle is improving. Remember to look at the weekly data cycle review for last week, 19th to 23rd, and the flow reviews if you can. Right, so that's where we are. We're looking for, it's going to be a rocky ride running into the Fed. So what's new? But so there we go. We're just going to stick with our positions and let it run. So hope it was useful. See you tomorrow for the daily briefing. Thank you very much.